Hi, and welcome to the online information session for Apogee Adventures. Today we're going to talk about what we do as a company, the positions we're recruiting for, and our application process. But most importantly, we're going to talk about what sets Apogee apart from other outdoor adventure companies. Our application process is live, and we are hiring trip leaders, support staff, summer assistant directors, an enrollment and administration specialist, and a summer housing and warehouse specialist. Here at Apogee, we run trips for kids in the summer that are designed for middle and high schoolers. Each one has a primary focus. We run hiking, biking, community service, and writing trips. Alongside each of these trips, we also work with a variety of outfitters. So in addition to hiking or biking, you might be climbing, whitewater rafting, sea kayaking, maybe you're going ice climbing, snorkeling, or maybe surfing. But regardless of what trip you might end up on, the foundation to each trip is the same. Each group is made up of 10 to 15 students of mixed gender and 2 to 3 trip leaders with whom you lead your whole summer with. Unlike typical summer programs, we don't have a central base camp. Rather, our trips are all over and can take you to truly some of the most beautiful places around the world. You might be biking in Vermont, hiking in Maine, or maybe hiking over in the Pacific Northwest. You could be in beautiful, rugged Alaska, or you might be in Puerto Rico or Costa Rica. You might head to Europe to hike in the Pyrenees, or cross the border between Switzerland and Italy as you circumnavigate Mont Blanc. Or maybe you're biking through 7 different countries on one of our most epic trips, Europe coast to coast. So what's it like day to day? On each of these trips, you'll typically be camping and in a tent most nights of the summer. With that said though, on some of our specialty trips, you might find yourself in a rustic indoor accommodation. For each of these trips, we have the logistics planned out so that you don't have to worry about them. Campsite reservations, routing, directions, permits, outfitters, all of it. This gives you as a leader more time to be present with the kids and gives you the freedom to choose day hikes, meal planning, grocery shopping, and your job is to do amazing activities while you move your group from one location to the next, whether that's in a van or by bike. So what else can you expect from your summer overall? You'll always have days off between trips, and you'll lead between 2 to 4 sessions during your summer. All of your Apogee-related travel, food, and lodging are covered, so it ends up being a pretty low-expense summer. In terms of pay, we pay in the highest range of similar organizations, and of course, being an outdoor company, we have pro deals galore. Truthfully, one of the strongest and biggest pieces to the Apogee world is the quality of our leaders, which is why you're here and watching this. We can't say enough wonderful things about our Apogee leaders. We're looking for people who have previous experience in leadership and co-leadership roles, experience working with young people, have strong decision-making skills, and are resilient, dynamic, adaptable. But equally weighted alongside each of these qualities is just the fact that our leaders are enthusiastic about working with kids. They're also just plain fun. We can't overstate how much responsibility it is to be looking after a group of young people in a dynamic and active environment and bringing them out on these adventures. We look for people who have held these leadership positions before, who have had to make hard decisions, and who are ultimately going to be able to rise to the challenge of being out in the field. You are constantly wearing different hats and switching between skill sets, between working with your kids and your co-leader, working with the office and interacting with the public like professional outfitters and your community service partners. We are looking for dynamic folks who can jump into these roles. Overall, though, we're really looking for role models. These kids look up to our leaders so much. They absorb everything from their leaders, and we want that to be a really positive, lasting impact for them. When we hire our leaders, we want to make sure they're coming in with this large range of skills that we just talked about. But we also want to make sure that we, as Apogee, are preparing our leaders before they head into the field to make sure they feel confident on their trips. To do this, we have a 2-week in-house training for all leaders. We bring in past leaders to help facilitate and talk about what life is like on trip. We also bring in a professional to talk about mental, social, and emotional health, as well as bring in an outside facilitator to run our diversity, equity, and inclusion workshop. Along with each of these facilitators, we work through talking about hard skills, whether that's bike mechanics or hiking skills, as well as food and meal planning and cooking skills. We spend a huge chunk of time on the soft skills too, where we dedicate time to prepping our leaders with how do you talk with youth about mental health, manage group dynamics, and of course, how do you play all sorts of different games. After our classroom portion, you head out on training trip where you get to put these skills to use and experience what it's like to be out on your own Apogee trip. This is time for peer-to-peer learning and to grow the bonds between the Apogee community. To better understand what it's like at leader training, we brought in Sarah Shepard, who led our Pacific Coast trip and most recently our Europe Coast to Coast bike trip.
Leader training really prepared me well for a summer of leading with Apogee, as it pretty much encompasses anything you may need to know throughout your summer. I came in not knowing much about bikes or leading bike trips and came out of leader training feeling fully prepared for my summer. And I think equally as important to the hard skills that I learned, like bike mechanics and cooking nutritious meals, were the soft skills that I learned, like dealing with a large group and social dynamics. And then leader training trip really puts those skills into action and helps you practice them before you're out in the field with 12 students.
So we've talked about what Apogee does, where we go, how these trips are run, who our leaders are, and how we train them. And truthfully, there are a number of outdoor companies where you could do something somewhat similar. But I really want to get into what sets Apogee apart from other outdoor education and outdoor adventure companies that you could work for, and really, why Apogee? Our values are centered around 3 main ideas: community, confidence, and fostering a love for the outdoors. Let's start with community. It's at the heart of everything we do, and we break it into 4 different categories. To start off with, there is a deep feeling of the Apogee family. One of our primary values on trips is to create such a deep sense of connection between our students and our leaders. We do this through so many different Apogee traditions, like our Apogees and Paragees circle at the end of the night. Next is community service. All of our domestic itineraries have a community service component. We want to give back to the areas that we are lucky enough to be exploring. Whether it's the primary focus of the trip or in addition to the itinerary, we want our students to be able to contribute to the community they're visiting. The third pillar is our strong commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. We really believe that communities are going to be that much more meaningful when they're filled with a more diverse group of people, opinions, backgrounds, and perspectives. Because we're a small company, we have the power to make really tangible changes. Some of these changes have included increasing the number of student scholarships available, creating an additional fund for summer compensation for folks from historically marginalized communities, removing different barriers for our application process for our staff, and we also work with a gear sharing program to make sure that our staff and students have access to the gear they need for the summer. The last pillar is our staff community. During training, our staff get incredibly close. We've seen countless people meet at leader training and stay best friends for years. Unlike so many other companies, we're a small office, so when you reach out or you call us, you know that you're talking to one of these people. Our directors, Kevin and Will, care about you, and they take the time to get to know who you are as a person. To hear more about what the community means to our leaders, we heard from Mark, someone who led for Apogee for 6 years.
One of the coolest parts about being an Apogee leader for me is the community of awesome and unique people that you get to be a part of. I've made some of my best friends with Apogee, and everybody that I've met has both encouraged and inspired me to just wake up every morning with a smile, that it's a new chance to try new things and meet new people and just simply just have fun with life. I feel super lucky to be a part of Apogee, and it's a family that I know I'm going to be close with forever.
So alongside community as one of our key pillars, the next is confidence. We want to instill a strong sense of confidence into our students that stays with them even after they're back from their trip. Each of our trips are designed with the idea of achievable challenge. We want to push our students just enough outside of their comfort zone that they feel proud of their accomplishments and the new skills they've learned, while not feeling overwhelmed by the challenge. This desire to build confidence is not just for our students, though. We want our staff and our leaders to understand that independently running a trip, balancing a budget, making hard decisions, doing challenging problem solving, all of this is building an incredible amount of confidence in our leaders. Let's hear from another leader, Dana McRae, who led our Colorado Rocky Mountains hiking trip and most recently our Europe coast-to-coast biking trip.
Leading for Apogee made me more confident in myself. You pick up your kids and it's like, geez, I am responsible for this. That trip on the website only happens because of what I do starting now. And then you look back in a few weeks and you've made it happen. And you and your co are running through this mountain of responsibilities like clockwork, and your kids are smiling, and it reminds you, okay, I am capable. I am adaptable. I can get us into camp on time and help get our laundry done and organize that game we love and whip up a big pot of curry. It's really empowering.
The last of the 3 pillars of our values is fostering a love for the outdoors. This one is a bit more self-explanatory. We're an outdoor company. We want our students to disconnect from their devices, leave the drama of whatever is going on at school, and connect with the people who they wouldn't otherwise get to know in a place they've never been. At Apogee, we're fostering the next generation of environmental land stewards, and we want to instill a deep love and appreciation for the outdoors, all while doing pretty awesome things in beautiful places. The impact of leading for Apogee is immeasurable. Our past leaders are constantly reaching back out to us to tell us stories about how they cited their time at Apogee as one of the most valuable work experiences that they did during their early careers. The skills you gain leading for Apogee translate to so many different areas. Our leaders go on to medical school, are lawyers, work as engineers, and become Fulbright scholars. They use their Apogee experience to set them apart as candidates. Our past leaders have had so much success in so many different fields, and Cece, who led for Apogee a few years back and is now an entrepreneur and founder of her own company, wanted to share her story with us.
Apogee has really prepared me for my current career. I'm an entrepreneur and started my own canned cocktail company called Troop. Now, you wouldn't necessarily think canned cocktails and leading hiking and bike touring trips have that much in common, but that's actually where you're wrong. Every single day at Troop, I'm faced with new challenges, and Apogee, being a leader, really helped me face those challenges and learn how to deal with them. Another thing with being an entrepreneur is you have to have a lot of patience and a lot of resilience, and that's definitely something that I learned by being a leader at Apogee.
So what comes next? Our application link is live on our website. We have some basic requirements before you arrive. You have to be at least 20 years old by mid-June and available from mid-June to mid-August. You also have to complete an interview, either remote or in person, and we require 3 outstanding personal references. We also require a certification in wilderness first aid or wilderness first responder, but that's not necessary at the time of application. You'll just need to complete it before the summer begins, and as a note, we offer an Apogee-sponsored WUFA course prior to the start of leader training for those that do need a certification. We have 3 different hiring periods throughout the year, which you can find more information about deadlines on our website. We can't wait to connect with you. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to staff@apogeeadventures.com to get in touch with someone from our team. Thanks for listening.